Okay, dear students, in last lecture, due to some technical problem, the sound was not so clear. So we will continue again from the slide from where the sound was disturbed. So that slide was nature of digestive enzyme and their action. Actually, we have seen all these oral digestion, gastric digestion, intestinal digestion, and in that carbohydrates, protein, nucleic acid, and fat digestion already studied with their reactions. But now here the summary chart shows that the salivary, this is the enzyme column, this is the production organ which is responsible for the secretion of enzyme, then site of release where the secretion is poured, and it's a pH level, either acidic, basic, or neutral. So carbohydrate digestion was carried out by salivary amylase present in salivary glands, secreted in mouth, and these are of neutral, means pH level is 7. We can say neither acidic nor basic. The pancreatic juice is basic in nature, secreted by pancreas into the small intestine. Maltase is produced in small intestine and secreted in the small intestine, because these are present in the intestinal wall and they secrete the enzyme. So likewise, protein digestion was carried out by pepsin, trypsin, and peptidases, respectively secreted by gastric glands, pancreas, and stomach, or small intestine, gastric glands, pancreas, and small intestine. And gastric glands are present in stomach, secretion in the stomach, and these are acidic. Only one pepsin or gastric glands are secreting the acidic material, remaining all secreting basic material, except salivary gland, which are neutral. Then peptidases. Peptidases are also located in the small intestinal wall and basic in nature. The nuclease and nucleosidases are secreted both by pancreas and poured their secretion both in a small intestine and are basic in nature, whereas fat digestion was carried out by lipase present in the pancreas and secreted by the same cells into the small intestine and are basic in nature. In this way, the carbohydrates, proteins, and fat digestion along with nucleic acid was carried out. Next, digestion of carbohydrate, protein, and fats. Separately, we will study all the sugars, generally called as carbohydrates, are absorbed in the wall of intestine and stored in the liver in the form of glycogen. Therefore, here the starch glycogen is written, because all the starch materials are digested into the maltose sugar or any other sugars and stored in the form of glycogen. Whenever they are needed for the production of energy, they split into disaccharides and monosaccharides. So disaccharides generally maltose, sucrose, and lactose. So lactose is a milk sugar. These all are converted into the simpler molecule of sugars, or we can say simpler molecules of carbohydrates, that is glucose, fructose, and galactose, or we can say two molecules of glucose from maltose, one glucose and one fructose from sucrose, and one glucose and one galactose from lactose in presence of these enzymes maltase, sucrase, and lactase respectively. So in this way, this digestion of carbohydrate is carried out. This chart is referred from the website given here as a reference. The next, digestion of protein is also carried out with in presence of trypsin. Therefore, trypsin is the main enzyme, and this chart is referred from this website. Trypsinogen is converted into trypsin in presence of enteropeptidases or trypsin, we can say simple. Then chymotrypsinogen is converted into chymotrypsin in presence of trypsin. Everywhere trypsin is the mediator, trypsin is the responsible material or which carry out the facilitated the reactions. Procarboxypeptidase is converted into three elements, that is carboxypeptidase A, carboxypeptidase B, and aminopeptidases. Proelastase is converted into elastase in presence of trypsin. Procoleops converted into coleops in presence of trypsin. So these are the protein materials converted into the simpler protein materials in presence of the main trypsin enzyme or main element trypsin. This is the digestion of protein. And now digestion of fat. In general, the digestion of fat, the molecules of fat materials are converted into fatty acid and glycerols. This is the simple digestion. But some of the digestive actions of these fat materials are carried out in the stomach in presence of gastric lipase enzymes, which hydrolyzes the fat molecules into monoglyceride molecules and fatty acids. Whereas in small intestine, the same digestion of fat material, either fat, emulsified fat, diglyceride, monoglyceride or emulsified fat material are digested into fat material is digested into emulsified fat in presence of bile. This emulsified fat is digested into fatty acid and diglyceride in presence of pancreatic lipase enzyme. These diglycerides are converted into fatty acid and monoglycerides in presence of pancreatic lipase. These fatty acid and monoglyceride, now monoglyceride is converted into fatty acid and glycerol in presence of pancreatic lipase. Now this glycerol or fatty acids both are separated. Now this fatty acid or we can say emulsified fat is converted into monoglycerides and fatty acids. The same thing again carried out here. And in this way the pancreatic lipase plays a key role in the digestion of fat material. And this chart is referred from this website of Quora.com. Next, now here the real lecture number 10 will start now. The next lecture is on absorption of food material. Whenever the digestion is completed, the food is absorbed in the blood and then stored in the liver, and in next third stage it is assimilated, means distributed in the body organs for the production of energy. How the absorption takes place, from where the absorption takes place? Absorption takes place in the walls of intestine by the villi. Villi are the internal control-like structures which are present in the internal folds of mucosa. And the mechanical digestive processes have only one goal, that to convert the digested food material into the small molecules and small elements, and they are absorbed through the epithelial walls, through the villi, and stored into the storage cells or liver cells. The absorptive capacity of the alimentary canal is almost endless, means this is continuous process, it never stops. Each day the alimentary canal processes up to 10 liters of food, liquids and gastrointestinal secretions, yet less than 1 liter enters the large intestine, means the maximum material absorbed from the intestinal wall is water. It plays a key role along with all food materials dissolved there to the food. Then all ingested food material, about 80% of the electrolytes and 90% of the water molecules are absorbed in the small intestine. Although the entire small intestine is involved in the process of absorption of water and lipids, most of the absorption of carbohydrates and proteins occurs in jejunum. In the next part, the jejunum plays a key role in absorption of the food material. One more thing is important to be noted here, that the bile salts and vitamin B12 are absorbed in the terminal ileum, means in the end of ileum the salts and vitamins are absorbed simply, and by the time chyme material, means semi-digested semi-liquid material, chyme material passes from the ileum into the large intestine. It is essentially indigestible food. Chyme is not completely digested. It is essentially indigestible food residue, mainly plant fibers like cellulose, etc., and some water and millions of bacteria are there. So, this absorption activity is mostly carried out in the intestine, particularly in the jejunum and ileum of the small intestine. Then the further action of absorption of food material, the digestive secretions and absorption of water material is carried out in the intestinal wall. But in this process, nutrients from the digested food are harvested by the epithelial wall of the intestine, and this absorption occurs through the 5 different mechanisms, that is active transport, passive diffusion, facilitated diffusion, co-transport, or we can say secondary active transport, and endocytosis. These are the 5 basic ways or mechanisms through which the action of absorption is carried out. So we will see one by one. The active transport. The active transport is the transportation mechanism in which the material moves from lower concentration to higher concentration throughout the or across the cell membrane. This is called as active transport. And this transportation mechanism is up the concentration gradient mechanism, and it requires energy for the carrying out the activity of transportation, and therefore this is called as active transport. This is very actively carried out up the concentration gradient and using the ATP or adenosine triphosphate energy to move the substances forward as a pumping mechanism, or we can say pumps. Second, where there is no need of energy but it directly passes from the membrane is called as diffusion, passive diffusion. Or we can say passive diffusion refers to the movement of substances from the area of higher concentration to the area of lower concentration, totally inverse from the active transport. As in active transport, the food substances, materials passes from the lower concentration to higher concentration, and here from higher concentration to the lower concentration. While facilitated diffusion refers to the movement of substances from an area of higher to an area of lower concentration, and this using a carrier protein in the cell membrane. Here one more thing is to be noted, that the carrier proteins are helping to pass this material from the membrane, and therefore it is a simple and passive mechanism of transportation, therefore known as passive diffusion. In the next absorption mechanism, we will see co-transport. In co-transport, the movement of one molecule through the membrane from higher to the lower concentration to power the movement of another from lower to the higher, and therefore it is called as co-transport. Means this activity is carried out by the correlation of each other, we can say the molecules present in the membrane or the molecules which is to be transported across the cell membrane. Then finally, endocytosis is a transportation process in which the cell membrane engulfs the material. It directly engulfs the material. Therefore, it is called as endocytosis. The material which enters in the cell, or cytosis, we can say the process is cytosis. It requires energy, generally in the form of adenosine triphosphate or ATP. Because the cell's plasma membrane is made up of hydrophobic, then phospholipids, then water soluble nutrients, and must use the transport molecules embedded in the membrane to enter the cells. So this is the mechanism through which these phospholipids and water soluble material are transported. Moreover, Substances cannot pass between the epithelial cells of the intestinal mucosa because these cells are bound together by the tight junctions. If they are free and loose, they become pass directly or easily, but as they are tightly junctioned with each other, so they are not possible to pass directly through the epithelial cells. But if thus the substances can only enter blood capillaries by passing through the apical surface of the epithelial cells and into the intestinal interstitial fluids, this we can say the cells interstitial fluids, water soluble nutrients enters the capillary blood in the villi and travel to the liver via the hepatic portal vein. As I previously told you that the all absorbed food material is passes from the intestinal walls through the epithelial cells into the blood, and then from blood it is passes to the hepatic cells for the storage, because liver is the largest storage organ, and from liver the all food materials, all constituents are transported to the different body cells and organs as per the need of the organ or need of the energy. Now, at last, absorption is the process by which the end product of digestion passes through the intestinal mucosa into the blood or lymph. It is carried out by passive, active, or facilitated transport mechanisms, and water simply moves through the membrane by osmosis. And small fat soluble substances, example fatty acid, glycerol, these are able to diffuse directly through the cell membrane. They no need to pass either by active or passive way. And while others are generally transported inside the villi, again come here the intestinal wall, villi by other mechanisms. We have already seen that in passive transport or simple diffusion processor, or simply the electrolyte materials or chloride materials or ions or water or glucose, sugar, whatever, it simply passes from the membrane called as simple diffusion. And the passage of these substances into the blood depends on the concentration gradient, because in active transport they move against the concentration gradient. Here the active transport mechanism is explained in details, how the micromolecules or the micro food materials which are digested completely and absorbed through the walls of the intestine. So active transport needs energy, it works against concentration gradient, and these nutrient materials like amino acid, monosaccharide, glucose, fructose, electrolytes, sodium, salts, all these are absorbed in the blood by this mechanism of active transport. Whereas some of the substances like glucose, amino acids are absorbed with the help of carrier proteins. They require a carrier material to carry the, therefore it is called as carrier or facilitated transport, because this mechanism is facilitated by carrier proteins. Therefore it is called as facilitated transport mechanism. Furthermore, the fatty acids and glycerol material which are digested from the fat are being insoluble and cannot be absorbed in the blood. Therefore, they need to be transferred into the other small molecules, and then again other small micromolecules, and these micromolecules are to be absorbed in the blood. So there are 3 steps to absorb the fat materials into the blood to the liver. So the fat materials are incorporated into the smaller droplets, generally called as micelles, and which moves into the intestinal mucosa. They are reformed into very small protein coated and fat globules. These are generally called as chylomicrons, and which are transported into the lymph cells, or to which generally called as lacteals. The capillaries of lymph vessels are called as lacteals, and which are present in the villi of the intestinal wall. These lymph vessels ultimately releases the absorbed substances into the bloodstream, and the absorbed substances finally reaches the tissues which utilize them for their activities of life, and this process is called as assimilation. Whenever the food is digested, then absorbed and finally assimilated to the organs for the production of energy there too, for the facilitation of that particular mechanism. Uh, this is about digestion, absorption and assimilation. So next topic or next issue of the same mechanism will be studied in the next lecture. Till then, see you.